I think I touched on this last week where I was talking about how they don't design for the curve of incoming players to be smooth. They design for it to be spiky. And I think all of this stuff is relying on the marketing to just spike as high as humanly possible every single time. And getting mini expansions out of every patch is going to be very, very good for that. And I think it's kind of... It reminds me of how the whole Path of Exile thing is, where they said, you know, let your players go, and they'll come back. I think they're kind of relying on that, especially for the Raiders, I think, because the seasons are strong enough to bring people who really like to play the game gameplay-wise. They'll bring those back for sure, but Raiders might need a little bit more, and other players who aren't interested in the season will come back for Chains of Domination. And it's like, I think it's... what is it? How to put it? It's like Better the Devil You Know in terms of how they're directing everything, especially when it comes to how they'll, like, especially from like the guys at the top who want the money in. They'll be looking, they'll go, oh yeah, see the way since the dawn of time we've had Spike, and you know, up and up and up and up, and then, you know, Mist started to fall off, Warlords bang, up, Legion bang. I feel like all of basically everything they've ever done has been in service of that.
I think in the modern era, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is something we went into when I was doing the research for that last video, where, you know, I think the most important metric in this is, you know, it's not the spikiness of the curve, but it's the area under the curve. And the best way to make the area under the curve of the total amount of people who are playing World of Warcraft, the way to make the area under the curve bigger is not to make the spikes bigger. It's to lift up the troughs so they're not troughs anymore. And the really interesting thing is when we were looking through the data on WoW during its growth curve, you do not see that seasonality. And Mists of Pandaria is the real mind blow, because MoP had its launch issues, people thinking, oh, Kung Fu Panda, blah, blah, blah. But the people who actually stuck in MoP, its numbers, I remember one of the patches actually went up. And it's really not until you get into Warlords of Draenor that the big spikiness starts to happen. And man, I wish we had the data for Battle for Azeroth, because that would have been terrifyingly spiky. I don't know about you guys or whatever, but I mean, I did not play a lot of BFA, even though you know, all of the incentives in the world are saying, Michael, play Battle for Azeroth, it's literally your job. And I was sitting there in a position where it's literally my job, and there's really not that much I want to do until we get into a guild and, you know, get ahead of the curve in Azoth, which was all very fun. So I guess moving on from that, we're talking about this spikiness and stuff, and, you know, one of the things I was talking about is that area under the curve. How do we make things less spiky? One of the ways to do that is to have good progression systems and things like that in the game. We've just covered the Valor Point stuff, so I guess we can move on to the new thing. The new thing for Anima.
Yeah, very, very, very exciting. There's a brand new weekly source of Anima.
Yes, there is a brand new source of Anima each week, and it's one that is incredible, because if this discussion is like, I don't know, if the discussion is a barrel that's full of holes and it's leaking everywhere, because what is on this one Wowhead page leads to 700 million discussions. It's kind of incredible. Now, if you want the skinny, the news, basically, if you are capped on souls, if you're capped on souls in your covenant, which most people are, we're going to go back, you're going to hand that quest in, and now you're going to get 500 Anima. And in a way, this could be quite convenient for many players, because you could go, you could get your souls from the Maw. That's not going to take you too long, 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And then bam, you get 500 Anima. Guess what that does? That's going to put you halfway through your other weekly quest. Then you only need 500 Anima to complete that weekly. Which is certainly going to help. I mean, that's killing a few raid bosses or whatever. And then, if you are capped out on Renown, so we may as well do this other news story as well at the same time. If you're capped out on Renown, then the quest will give you 1,500 gold. So it's quite funny, because what's basically happened is their currencies run into a wall, Renown caps, so they're just going to funnel you gold after that. Which, hey, 1,500 gold for completing my Anima weekly, which I'm going to do anyway because I'm clearing the raid. Cool. Fair enough. It is a little bit awkward, though.
Yeah, 1,500 gold is... I mean, the callings give you roughly that on average. I think the epic callings give you significantly more than that, which are rolling in every day. So it feels like... It feels literally like they had nothing better, which is really annoying because, you know, imagine that was pick Valor or Conquest for that week. Pick Honor. Something like anything would have been, I think, better than this, but it just shows like... They don't want to impact the economy too hard.
Yeah.
1,500 gold doesn't pay for your consumables half the time for that week. Like, it's certainly not ideal.
Yeah, and it does touch on that thing that we've had discussions of, where basically the currencies are really weird and renown is really weird. And the chat that we had, which I guess we'll sort of redo now because I think it's a really good one. Renown is tied to a bunch of things. And I think a lot of the casual player base have seen the Renown system and they've thought, 2 a week? Really? Where's my agency in this player agency expansion? And I think that's meant that they've bounced off because they can't sit down and really get immersed in the World of Warcraft doing a campaign because they've seen that Renown gate. And it's like, as you go through that Renown, you don't get enough of the other currencies in the game to actually get loads, many of those rewards. And I don't know if it was a Reddit post or whatever, but whatever it was, it came to... The person worked out getting, like, every current Anima thing, like the cosmetics and all of that stuff from all the different covenants. And it basically was, like, 660-something days of, like, pretty involved while playing. And I just thought that was, like, whoa, interesting. These currencies are oddly balanced. And the discussion that we had basically boiled down to, yeah, kind of just slap on, oh dear, Shadowlands has got to release in 15 minutes. We have to slap some Anima values on, which is what it was like, monitoring the beta of, of this expansion in its sort of final periods. It was very hard to know what values were actually true. So it's a weird thing with Anima where people, they're going up renown, but they're not really getting enough Anima to purchase things that they want. But then if they want that Anima, well, if you are a casual player, and that is surely the person that the Anima grind, so making your Sanctum better, unlocking more of your farming minigame, getting new mounts, that's the stuff that those casual players love, because they're growing their character in a way that's visual and that they care about. But for those people, the only content they can regularly do is world quests. So then it's like, you're doing all these world quests for Anima, and that gets you some Anima, but you complete the calling, and the bloody calling doesn't give you Anima. And I remember that was really weird to me, because I totally felt like completing a calling is something that should have got me Anima, but it didn't. So I thought that was a really, really bizarre thing. And then the other side of that, and this is you brought this up to me, this is not my idea, but it's basically that there's the rate at which you earn Anima, and it goes like this. And then, boom, souls. You get souls so much faster that you can earn the Anima to get the Covenant Sanctum upgrades that you want. Which is why, if you're Captain Souls, they'll give you more Anima. So it's obviously the thing where the soul system has set an expectation that you should always be able to use the souls that you earn by doing the weekly to upgrade your Covenant Sanctum. But Anima is not at all balanced like that. And Blizzard actually said that Anima was balanced as an expansion-wide progression thing. BlizzCon.
Maybe expansion-wide's a little bit much, as you said. Was it 600 something days it would take to get everything for all of that? But I think that's the case where, honestly, the Anima drought was too real.
Yeah.
I think that's actually kind of what maybe happened to them, where they're like, okay, well, how do we get this Anima drought that everyone's experiencing, and then mesh that with the fact that, the Anima is this currency that we're going to have our players all do and all hunt for. So it's the case where I think they erred on the side of caution, balancing it far too low, because that thing about the souls, I went off on it a couple times recently. It's just, I feel like Blizzard are telling me up front, oh hey, yeah, you're getting 15 souls a week, you're getting 20 souls a week. To spend those, you need to be doing every world quest on the map. And yeah, sure, you get 1,000 or so from raiding, but if you're only doing your raid, then you'll get 1,000 or so.
And not in the past.
Yeah.
Back when it was only 35 anima per boss.
Yeah, and that's the thing that was particularly frustrating, because I think I'm getting less anima now that I'm raid logging than I was before in total, because I was incentivized. I didn't enjoy it, but what I was doing was going to, like, I was logging in an hour or two before raid. I was going and getting 1,000 anima for my renown, and then going to raid and then getting whatever after that. But it's like my rate of anima is actually slowed down now, which is kind of a weird side effect of a couple of different things. But on the anima front, it's just, they need to add a 0 to numbers, I think. Maybe not a 0, but they
a bit higher overall.
Yeah, they need to like double or triple general anima gain from all sources, maybe even world quests. But it's certainly a completely missed opportunity on making people want to go get those cosmetics.
Yes.
Because I've immediately, like, I have the full, like, silver set, the full aspirant set, I think, from the Kyrians, and it's nice. The golden set is a little bit nicer, but I know how much that's going to cost me. I know how much time that's going to cost. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and for you to get that piece of armor, you would then have to set back your Covenant Sanctum upgrades by a whole bunch, and you enjoy the Trial of Ascension or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So then that screws you over. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. If I was to overall surmise this, to draw the anima drought section to a close, I think Blizzard balanced this based on somebody who is doing whatever weekly bonus exists, and also doing the epic dungeon, the epic battleground and normal battleground, weekly quests, as well as the 2 dungeon weekly quests and the regular world quests, or anima weekly quests, and doing all of that content. So I think they balance that system for people who are dabbling in everything and maxing out what they could get, because I think a bunch of the WoW devs, if they maybe had more time to play the game and were deving all the time, are probably the types of players who would rather exhaustively play the game. So maybe they've assumed that a whole bunch of people do that as well. So we've kind of had this system balanced for one type of player, when really its target audience is a bit of a different type of player.